Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, July 10th to Saturday, July 16th. So last week we had a pretty big week. We aligned with the Sirius Gateway Portal, the star system, our spiritual sun, if you will, from the 3rd to the 7th. And of course, we peaked that energy on the 5th when Mars stepped down from his place of power in Aries to take a slow and low approach to unearthing different blocks, different challenges, different topics and themes that are currently restricting us from manifesting, bringing to life certain foundations and creations, topics and themes that we need in our lives. And we also had Mercury step down from its place of power in Gemini to take a deep dive into our emotional field in Cancer. So, of course, we had a lot of energy last week. And also on the 5th, we had CERN activate, which I'll go on a rant about here in a second. And we also had the first quarter moon in Libra on the 6th. So there are some popular topics and themes on the world stage right now that I'm going to rant about in just a second. A lot to do with CERN, a lot to do with the Georgia Guidestones, which many people are popping off about. But first, we have to cover the energy that we can expect for this week. So all we have going on this week, and I hesitate to say all because it's a pretty big event. It's going to be hella heavy for us to navigate. But we have the full moon taking place in Capricorn on the 13th. So this is going to be a tough energy to navigate for a couple of reasons. First of all, Saturn, the Lord of Karma, rules over Capricorn energy. We always get a little bit somber. We always have to deal with negative Nancy. This full moon is illuminating for us where the physical circumstances, the physical blockages, the physical challenges are in our physical circumstances, preventing us from bossing up, from taking a new role, a new responsibility, from stepping into a new role of authority in our lives. Now, does that sound like fun and games? Absolutely not. Is it absolutely necessary for our evolvement? Yes, it is. We are going to have some flashbacks to December of 2021 when we moved into Capricorn energy on the solstice. Very interesting that this full moon in Capricorn is taking place at 21 degrees, 21 minutes, because on the 21st of December is when we have that winter solstice, when we move into that Capricorn energy. And of course, we wrap things up before the new year. So that is pretty much the only event that we got going on this week, which is fine. We need a little bit of time to adapt to some of the situations that have already popped off. We are still in Cancer season, the mother energy, Capricorn energy, the father energy. It's very much versus the home versus the career, nurturing versus conditioning, unconditional love versus conditional love. We are struggling with our emotions. We are struggling with safety and security. We are just struggling. Why? Because we're in an adjustment period. We're in an experimental period. We had that situation pop off with the solstice energy when the sun moved into Cancer, where now we are experimenting with new things, new elements, new ideas, new versions of ourselves, up until, again, the Lionsgate portal early August. This week, we also will be wrapping up Venus's time in Gemini. Venus has been in Gemini, really looking to expand her thoughts, expand her mind, expand her skill set, opening up to new ways of doing things, new choices, new decisions in our lives. And we will also be wrapping up Mercury being in Cancer. Again, a very short stint in Cancer energy. Mercury will be moving into Leo energy the following week. So if you haven't listened to Venus in Gemini or Mercury in Cancer's astro forecast, you should do that. You should absolutely tune in, refresh yourself on what these life lessons are supposed to be, because we are wrapping up these life lessons this week under the full moon illumination in Capricorn. So we can expect a lot of weight, a lot of heaviness, a lot of somberness, a lot of roles, a lot of responsibilities that will be put on our heart space. And Just a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. This is also going to be the last week that Chiron, the wounded healer, will be direct. Chiron is planning to go retrograde the following week, which is going to give us a totally different attitude, totally different, I'm going to say, energy, warrior spirit, if you will. This is where we do a deep dive into our healing journey, into our trauma, into our pain, into our suffering, and we start actually addressing it. Now, with all the other aspects going on in the cosmos right now, you best believe that Chiron going retrograde, we are going to definitely be seeing where it is that we are reinventing ourselves, where it is we do have a brand new identity, a brand new belief within ourselves, a brand new tenacity in order to actually advocate for ourselves and heal some of the aspects that have been wide open wounds preventing us from truly aligning with the people that we should be with the opportunities we should be gifted with the reality that we should be living. So, with all that being said, I just want to take a quick moment to thank you again for tuning in with me in this chat. I want to thank you for the love and support that you're continuously showing my way. I want to thank you also for the financial donations that many of you have sent my way after the question that I posed last week about whether I should, spit out the names of my supporters. I've concluded that I'm not going to do that. I want to thank each and every single one of you for all of the love, whether it be from a financial standpoint, just love, just support, just validations and encouraging words. It's all beautiful to me. It is all greatly appreciated. And I just do not feel comfortable with, calling people out one by one. That's not my game. It's not my thing. And I'm super, super appreciative to those of you who kind of gave your opinion on that as well. We're definitely all on the same page. Another thing I wanted to throw your way, I'm not sure if you know this, but there is a free energy guide membership on my website. It's basically a dashboard for all things going on in the cosmos. If you're ever wondering why you're in a funk or why you're feeling this way or what we can look forward to or what's going on today, this week, or the month, you can just log into the Energy Guide dashboard and it's all right there. There's a calendar there. There's the weekly videos there, the monthly videos there. There's, the moon phase there, the moon guide there. Like everything you need is right on that Energy Guide dashboard on my website. So head over to energyboutique.ca, sign up for a free membership, and that way there you're never wondering what the F is going on in the cosmos. If you are not a Moon Guide subscriber, you should be. The full moon in Capricorn moon guide will be available for download by the end of this weekend. So those of you who are already subscribing, you can look for that on your moon guide dashboard. And for those of you who are not subscribing, you can also download it as a one-time thing once that becomes available for download, again, hopefully by the end of this weekend. And of course, it's very much appreciated, the support. And I really just want to create these guides in order for everyone to stay in alignment with the energies that are currently popping off in the cosmos so that we can stay true to ourselves, true to the cosmos, and use the energy to our advantage. So I want to rant. As you may know, we had this whole concerning issue this past week. And let me just say, what a fake event that was. Okay, I don't know if any of y'all actually tuned in to the whole Dash thing that they had set up and when it went live and all this kind of stuff. Let me just say that whole CERN workforce is about as fake as NASA at this point. And I don't know about y'all, but I think we got duped. And I would say that, compared to the Schumann Resonance and the absolute energy effects that we experienced back in April when they first turned the thing on for the first time in 3 years, I would say that we were 100% led on. I watched it. I do not think it was real. I think it was staged. I think it's a psyop. I think that it got everybody in a tizzy. I mean, you couldn't go on social media or in a spiritual group community anywheres without people freaking out about CERN. And, what a time, especially seeing how it aligned with the peak energy of the Sirius portal, our spiritual sun. I just feel like we were severely, severely duped. And because we live in a delusional plane of existence of upside down land, really, should we be surprised? my intuition, my gut tells me that they basically did that staged event in order to plant the seed in our minds of what could potentially be taking place as far as like Mandela effects and change in the frequency and the power grid and everything else. I think that was a setup. I think that they just wanted to lead us in this little path to plant the seed so that the things that are going to be happening in the next coming months can be blamed on CERN. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, light workers out there, trusting our intuition and using discernment, if we go back to April and actually look at the data, look at the statistics, remember the energy, remember the shift that we all went through as we entered into eclipse season, I think that was probably when they turned it on, when they experimented with themselves. They're not going to do something live that they don't know the outcome of. They would not be that dumb. I feel like, and for those of you who don't realize that NASA is fake, like NASA, this was just a different generic staged event based off of, the groups that we have quote unquote put in power for these scientific events. And I'm not buying it. I am not buying it. We're all here. Now, there's many people out there saying, oh, something definitely happened. The Mandela effect. Now this is different. Now this is different. The whole Mandela effect. I'm not going to say that the Mandela effect isn't real because, yeah, it is. But I think we've been led into a hive mind situation with this particular CERN event and then the, I guess, aftermath of what people, quote unquote, are thinking is the Mandela effect. I truly and honestly do not believe that anything special happened this week, energetically speaking. Now, some would say, well, I was exhausted. I felt the effects. I was dizzy. Yeah, you would be. We were in alignment with our spiritual sun. We had Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, move into Taurus, which is the lowest, slowest place he could ever be in. We had Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, that was in his place of power, move into Cancer. It was a very emotional time. We moved down into our feels. We kind of went introverted. Those particular astro events all in itself create the ascension symptoms, the physical ailments and discomfort that many of us felt around the time that we were supposed to feel this, I guess, impending doom or timeline jump, depending on who you listen to at the time, with this CERN event. And I did say that we should not be concerned about it, that we needed to hold the highest vibration possible. That's always the case, whether we have a huge electromagnetic frequency going on or not. We always have to remember that there is a dark force agenda out there trying to keep us in a state of fear, trying to keep us in divisional topics and themes and discussions. And you know what? They did it once again. Now, does that mean that all was lost? No, absolutely not. Anytime we have an event that there's a lot of focus on, especially collectively, we change timelines, we change vibrations, we change frequencies. What a beautiful time to align the collective in thinking the highest vibration and timeline possible than the time that we're aligned with our spiritual sun. Right? So for those of you that were concerned about CERN, I want to know, did you think or feel anything? Did you watch the live event? Did you think it was real? For those light workers out there who have a strong intuition, does anybody think it was a fake setup like I do? I'm not here to tell you, one thing over the other. Of course, I want you to think for yourself, but my gut feeling, my intuition tells me that we got duped once again. So this leads into the next rant. I have to address this because I've had people reach out and ask me if I was going to talk about this in the live chat, which is the Georgia Guidestones. Many of us, of course, the day after this CERN event, seen these Georgia Guidestones fall. Now, let me just put it out there. The Georgia Guidestones, I think, have a huge misconception around them. I want to talk about it for just a second in case you don't know what I'm talking about. And for those of you that do know what I'm talking about, let's just open our minds up. Let's just take a look at what we know to be true, and then let's just use our discernment and our intuition to guide us to a certain idea or outcome or belief, whatever the case may be. Now, again, keep in mind, this is another divisive topic and tactic in order to get us arguing and be on different sides. Everything in this matrix is meant to divide. That is their whole goal, is divide and conquer. And I'm not ever going to sit here and preach from a high horse and say that what I believe in is true. Now, what I believe in to be true is for me, my truth. Just so happens I have a lot of like-minded people that are on the same page, the same vibe as me. But I want to talk about these Georgia Guidestones for just a second. So this is a huge granite monument that is located in Georgia, okay? It was erected in 1980. And it was basically erected in the creator's want, need, and desire to recreate the quote unquote American Stonehenge. So this is a huge quote unquote monument that had astrological symbolism to it. It was set up in order to align with the North Star in certain aspects. It was just like Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a setup to align with certain astrological positions as we go through time, as we go through the seasons. And this one was meant to basically align when the stars are aligning in the sky in order for us to see the celestial pole, to see the annual travel of the sun, to capture the sunbeam through different markers throughout the time, throughout the season, throughout the year. It was an astrological monument, just as Stonehenge is as well. Now, here's the thing. Yes, it has a bad rap as far as there's a lot of theories out there alleging it to be connected to Satanism. And I can understand that. I can get that. However, when you actually look at the history of it, first of all, the creator was just so freaking obsessed with Stonehenge that they wanted to have something in America just like that. Keep in mind, America was built basically off of Freemasonry, and it was a recreational experiment of the Roman Empire. So we already have some low vibe, draconian agenda type of situations going on. But the thing is that the function of these stones were meant to be as a compass or a calendar or a clock, whichever way you want to look at it. And it should have been able to withstand catastrophic events. And there's a lot of storylines around the original creator that really kind of tied into his Christian beliefs, his Christian religion. And if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know that I'm very torn on the Christian religion because I honestly think that the Bible has duped us into worshiping a God that isn't really God. But anyways, that's a time and a story for a different place. The Georgia Guidestones were inscribed with 8 different languages. And I want to talk about what they're actually inscripted with. There's 10 different things that they had on these Georgia Guidestones. The first thing, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Well, geez, that doesn't sound so bad. I mean, that kind of sounds a little bit realistic, right? Like, why wouldn't humanity want to balance itself out with nature? We are on Mother Earth. We are the parasites on Mother Earth. Why would we want to overrun Mother Earth and suck up her resources? Okay, just putting it out there. I do understand that there are people out there saying, "Oh, it's the." I'm gonna use abbreviations because I can't say these words. My channel's taking a hit. The NWO, okay? The NWO, population control. This is their attempt to control the population and kill everybody. Okay, well, that's one perspective. Keep in mind, there are two different ideas going on. There is the New Earth, and there is the New World Order, right? The only difference is one is based in fear and power and control, and the other one is based in love, compassion, and unity. Right? So we have to use discernment in order to understand what's going on in the world, right? So the second one, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Okay, so why does that sound like a bad thing? Because right now on the general collective, we see this Jabberwocky that has basically put a damper in reproductive health moving forward into the future. There is a huge depopulation control agenda going on by the dark force energies right now, but this doesn't sound so bad. Why would we not want to use all of our tools, all of our resources in order to create healthy reproduction, in order to improve the diversity, the openness, the wellness, if you will, of the women and children in the world? I don't know. Again, throwing it out there, not telling you what to believe. It just, to me, doesn't sound that bad. Number 3, unite humanity with a living new language. Well, what's so bad about that? First of all, we all have a one language. It's called telepathy. Okay. When we are using our higher observer selves, we are on the source language of God, God source, creator, whatever it is that you want to call it. Now, when people, again, who are kind of fear-based, hear unite humanity with anything, they think New World Order, right? NWO. Oh my God, this is it. They're trying to force us all into a language. They're going to get rid of our cultures, get rid of our languages. It's not really what it is. I mean, if you know anything about history, Satan, quote unquote Satan, if you believe in that, created all these divisive tactics and put this on humanity. The reason why we have different languages is because they, the uppers, realized that if we all spoke the same language, we could all connect and we could all understand each other. My goodness, we would get to one new earth unity a lot faster. So just like religion, just like sex, just like class, just like society, just like race, just like culture, those are all divisive tactics, religion. And, language creates a barrier among humanity. We have to remember that we are all human. We are all brothers and sisters of the human race. And they try very hard to segregate us in all of these different classes of skin color and religion and language and culture and blah, 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 blah. So unite humanity with a living new language. I don't know. It's up to you. I don't see anything horribly satanic about that. But again, you be the judge. Number 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Well, that sounds lovely because right now we don't have any reason happening on the planet. Everyone is so entitled, so trigger worthy. Everyone believes that their own beliefs are right. Everyone wants to go to war with people who don't believe in the same things as they believe in. Everybody wants to attack each other for different faith, different beliefs. Everybody wants to just kill tradition. Cancel culture is alive and well. To me, it doesn't sound like a bad thing to actually attempt all of these things, such as passion and faith and tradition, with a tempered reason. Just my preference, okay? Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. That does not seem like a rule that the dark force agenda would create, because they are not about fairness. They are not about fair laws. They are not about doing what is right. Our court system is absolutely just in favor of those higher ups. They definitely don't want to protect the people. They want to destroy nations. So to me, reading this doesn't sound like something that the Dark Force agenda would want or enforce or even want to put out there. That's not their MO. That's not what they want. To me, this does not sound like a Dark Force agenda item. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. That does not sound like a one world order, does it? I think getting back to nationalism, having everybody take care of themselves within a country, first and foremost, putting their own people first and foremost first before concerning themselves with everybody else going on in the world would be a great thing. I think that every single government needs to fall, needs to crash, needs to burn. We need to actually elect people that care about people to be in those places of power. But I don't see anything horribly wrong with taking care of your people in your country, in your nation first. And of course, if there is a global issue, a global dispute, let's get in a global conference with all the leaders of the world. Again, not the corrupt leaders or the WEF puppets, but the actual people elected officials. Let's get them in a world court where our voices from our individual nations actually count on the world stage. So again, the Dark Force agenda does not want there to be nations. They do not want the right people, elected people, to be officials of the nation in order to sit at the table of the world disputes. They don't want that. So to me, again, number 6 does not sound like a satanic agenda. Number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. Well, that actually sounds pretty good to me because our laws are absolutely ridiculous. They do not protect the people. They are in favor of the 1%ers. Useless officials, every single one of the officials that we see in a leadership role at this particular point on the global stage, they're absolutely useless. Why? Because they're only concerned with bettering themselves and creating power and taking away power from the people. And again, to me, use your mind, use your intuition, but this to me does not sound like an item that the NWO would put on their to-do list. Number 8, balance personal rights with social duties. Okay. Well, the Dark Force agenda doesn't want us to have any personal rights. They don't even really care about social justice, let alone social duties that the individual should even care about. So again, I'm going to have to go with the fact that my gut is telling me that this does not sound like something that the Dark Force agenda would actually have on their to-do list. Number 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Yeah, that's right. I'm pausing for dramatic effect. Does this sound like a Dark Force agenda item to you? First of all, they don't value truth. They don't see beauty other than within themselves as a false idol for the general public to worship. They sure as hell know nothing about love. They want anything but harmony, and they do not believe in the infinite. So again, I'm going to ask you, trust your gut. What is this telling you? I think we've been duped once again. These Georgia Guidestones are not satanic in nature. I'm going to wrap this up. Number 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. It says it twice for emphasis, okay? Now, the Dark Force agenda is absolutely a cancer on this earth. They do not care about nature. They have done nothing but rape Mother Earth for her resources. They have done nothing but implement a capitalistic structure in order to basically rise to the top with their many, many riches, while the, let's say, 98% of the people that should have the power are literally suffering. Okay? They do not care about nature. They do not care about being a cancer to the earth. Their evil doer agenda is to destroy Earth and everything and everybody on it. So again, I'm going to ask you, how can this be a bad thing? Now, here's what I will tell you. And again, you have to use your own judgment, use your own discernment. I think, just like everything else in this world, anything that was originally good was hijacked by the bad. I think that we are living out a movie. I think that there is a divine script at play. I think that this is a psychological operation like no other. I think that these Georgia Guidestones being destroyed in the manner that they did with the DEW, okay, DEW, direct energy weapon, look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about, is being done by the White Hats. I think the White Hats are 100% in control. I think they have been in control. I think that the movie that we're watching is meant for people to think that there is a war between good and bad going on right now. And I think that what we are seeing is the White Hats being in control of both the good and bad narrative. Now, one would say to me, because I get it all the time when I try to have these conversations, well, if they're in control, why are we having all these bad things happen? Well, first of all, they need to expose the Dark Force agenda's plan, okay? If we didn't, we wouldn't have this awakening. We wouldn't have this global consciousness. We wouldn't have this shadow part of our human existence be illuminated. Why is that important? Because the sleepers would have continued sleeping. And we need to get to the next level of consciousness. We are under, I'm going to say, a diluted matrix of I'm going to say, dark force race that rules over Earth. If you think humans are the superior race, you've been fooled once again. But like that contract is coming to an end and they're no longer in power. And that's why we're seeing the destruction of the matrix. And in order for us to see the destruction of the matrix and move into the 5D, we have to expose the wrongs. We have to expose the darkness. We have to expose the weight of how evil humans can actually be. So I truly believe, like, when you see on the news these leaders that are evildoers, they're just actors, right? The real people have been removed many moons ago, and they're just actors playing a part. Like, if you were to take notice to the news right now, it would seem like a joke, and it's meant to look like a joke because it is a joke. Okay, like, I read something the other day about this teacher who left their infant child in a car seat in the back of her car while she went to work for 8 hours and taught, and only to come out after the 8-hour shift was over to find a dead baby. And her excuse was that she thought she dropped her kid off at daycare, didn't even realize that the kid was in the back seat. And that's her justification on how she essentially murdered her child. And now the recommendation is that you should leave something important. Okay? Leave something important in the back of your car next to your kid's child seat or car seat so that you won't forget them. The irony. What is more important than a child? What more important item could you put next to a child in a car seat in order to remember said child is in the car seat? So for those of you out there that are thinking, well, there are stupid people out there, absolutely there are. But the unhumanisms that are coming up in the culture right now are coming from the sleepers. And when you read the news or you hear the news or whatever the case may be, it seems absolutely bizarre. It seems absolutely just idiotic, ironic, so stupid. And there's a reason for that. It needs to be that stupid for people to actually question things. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal venture. My parents are, in the 60 to 70 range. So one would consider them old school boomers. And, if it wasn't for me being who I am and what I know, they probably would be still asleep and very much stuck in the fear paralysis based situation that many people are. However, they are a little bit aware only because of the energy and attention that I bring to their realm of existence, but it's still a slow process. And my father, who is very old school, who listens to me, who believes in what I say, but still has a hard time believing that our government, that the world is so dark and dangerous and corrupt, like why anybody would want to hurt us or do anything to us, still has a hard time grasping these concepts. And you know what? God love him. Let's give him patience. Let's give him a little bit of leeway here. He's had, 65 plus years of conditioning and indoctrination. So we can't expect, it to change super, super quick. But like he even said to me, like, how can these storylines be true? And that's the point. Most of them aren't. Most of them aren't true. Most of the, mass shootings, mass murders, most of the corruption, the conflict, the wars, all of this bullshit, because it literally is bullshit, is not true. People think that China has a bad problem with the propaganda that their governments literally subliminally force into their headspace. We have no clue in Western civilizations that we are indoctrinated in the same way, except we use media and celebrities in order to propagandize, I don't know. Anyways, to get that information into our brains, because as a Western civilization, we have kind of been indoctrinated in order to worship these false gods, these false idols, which of course are celebrities. And the evildoers, the dark force agenda people, they own all the media. So whatever storylines or narratives they want to push, that's what we're hearing about. So we just think that over here in Western civilization that, we're free. We have rights. We're doing things right over here. It's just an illusion. We literally are an experiment that has been based off of the fall of the Roman Empire. And, that's the problem, is most people don't care about history or take the time to even explore our history, but history repeats itself. We're doing the exact same thing that they were doing hundreds and thousands of years ago, just in a modern day situation. And to take it even further than that, may I remind you, the United States of America is going through its Pluto return. No civilization lives past 250 years. There's always a crumble of civilizations, and they're in their Pluto return. If you haven't listened to the Pluto return astro forecast that I did a couple of months ago when we first went into a direct aspect and activated that 27th degree of Pluto in the USA's chart, go take a look, go take a listen, refresh your mind. This is why what's happening is happening, especially in the States, but again, on the global stage. So yeah, I know that was a huge rant. I know it started with CERN. I know it kind of went into the Georgia Guidestones. I know that, we covered a lot. I'm never going to sit here and tell you that my truth needs to be your truth, but I need you to also be informed enough to make informed decision. Because to me, like I said, we just sat here. We just read the inscriptions. We just went through the history of it. Does it sound evil? I don't know. Around the edges of the Georgia Guidestones, there is a square, and there's written translations to ancient languages. So there's the Babylonian, which we know, Babylonian era was just horrible. We know Greek, Greek mythology. That's where, the gods and goddesses derive from. So one would say that has a satanic vibe to it because there's only one God. But keep in mind that the one God, the one creator, the one source created everything, good and bad. It's up to us on who we are going to quote unquote worship. And God doesn't ask that we worship him. He asks that we operate from our Christ consciousness of love, unity, and compassion. So if you find yourself worshiping, false idols, celebrities, Norse gods, Greek gods, whatever, I mean, technically speaking, you're not doing anything that wrong because God, creator, source, created those particular entities as well. So again, we just all get mind effed with this whole religion, Bible, belief crap. But anyways, I digress. There's Babylonian, there's Greek, there's Sanskrit, and there's Egyptian. And let me tell you, the Egyptian mythology is about as close to the truth as we are going to get here in this lifetime, and even still has totally been altered to kind of hide our true ancient lineage. But, you know, there's just this skew that gets put on all of this information that makes it evil, makes it satanic. Anything, you know, that is misunderstood now is like a satanic agenda, like, woo. And I just feel like people are just not informed. They're not using their intuition. They're not using their logical, practical discernment. They're not blending their ego with their higher self. They're not listening to their inner truth. And I don't want you to get caught up in all of this foo-foo bullshit currently going on in the world stage. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, like there is this psyop. I'm going to be very cryptic here, and I don't want you to come for me because I know there's a lot of believers and I know there's a lot against. And I know that somewhere's in the middle, there are a lot of confused people. But like the whole Q thing is a psyop. The whole politician thing is a psyop. We are basically living multiple psyops right now. And I know that such things as these Georgia Guidestones getting kind of obliterated was a huge marker for those that follow a certain ideology. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or otherwise. I'm just saying we tend to, as humans, fall into certain lines of thinking, certain beliefs when we are grasping at straws to make sense of the truth that we should be looking inside of us instead of outside of us to have. Now, what I will also say is that there's huge indications, huge validations, huge markers that we get from the situations going on in the global stage right now. But it really depends on your level of consciousness and enlightenment on how you see it. You know, there is a 3D perspective to say, oh, you know, this is Trump and this is Q and this is blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, that's a very 3D way of looking at things. Then you get the 4D aspect, which is like, oh, the Galactic Federation and the Andromedas and the blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then you get caught up in that, you know, label and that kind of segregation. Like nothing disgusts me more than all of these people. You know, I'm Arcturian, I'm Andromeda, I'm from blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, way to further divide yourself and individualize yourself that much more. Way to really play into giving yourself labels and divisive tactics again. I mean, I know that there is this huge want, need, and desire with the spiritual community to identify, you know, star seed origin and all this crap. But I mean, people, what we got to understand is that we are all one. It doesn't matter who you are as a human or who you were as an alien, as a starseed, as a vibration, as a frequency. We all come from source. Okay, so if you're a human being walking on earth right now, I don't care your religion. I don't care where you're from. I don't care your nationality. I don't care about any of that. You are a human being. If you are coming from the level of your starseed origin, oh, I'm from Antares, I'm from this, I'm from that. Good for you. You're just separating yourself from the one love, one consciousness, one unity, that much further. But good for you. You need something to grasp onto. You like your titles. You go for it. Okay? You go for it. Ultimately speaking, we are all one. Ultimately speaking, we come from the same source. Ultimately speaking, I don't care if you're a human and then you die and you think you go back to your star system. I don't care if you're on your star system and then you die or you graduate from there and then you return to source. Eventually, a piece of you will understand that we are all one. The names, the labels, the origins that you choose to identify with is not unity. It is division, which means that you're playing into the divisive tactics that are meant for this matrix, for this 3D realm. Do what you got to do. We're all in different stages. We're all in different journeys. But let me just say, in my personal path, I find it super cringe, Super, super freaking cringe to hear all of these people being so firmly attached and rooted to this quote unquote star seed origin. Okay. It doesn't even matter. Okay. It doesn't matter. We all come from the same place. We all come from source. Stop labeling, stop dividing, stop individualizing. That's not how we get to unity. That's not how we get back to one consciousness. That's not how we get back to source. Okay. So that was a rant all in itself. I am now going to talk about some of the symptoms that we need to look out for, that we're experiencing, and that we can expect to come at us over this next week. So, exhaustion. Exhaustion like no other. Now, keep in mind, yes, I know we had a lot of high vibrational frequencies. We were in the Sirius star system. We were in alignment with our spiritual sun, but mostly we had Mars, the ruler over our physical energy, our drive, our action, move into an earth energy of Taurus. You cannot get any more lower and slower, any more fixed, any more confined into a little box than this Taurus energy. This is why we're having such exhaustion. We're also in Cancer season. It's a water season. We are literally in the emotional depths, in the emotional waters of our experience, of our unconscious, of our memories. It's exhausting. We're also dealing with family drama. We're also healing generational trauma. When we have huge amounts of energy coming in from the cosmos, it is repairing our DNA codes. That is exhausting, okay? Our physical body is merely a vessel for our energetic and astro body. And our energetic and astro body are going through such a transformation, such a morph, that our vessel has aches and pains in order to accommodate the vibration and frequencies that we're now moving into. Our bones hurt. We feel achy. We feel cracky. We feel rigid. We feel sore. There's a reason for that. And it's only going to get worse as we get closer to the full moon in Capricorn. Why? Capricorn rules over bones, over structure, right? Over the meat and the matter of who it is that we are as human vessels. So we can expect that our body is going to be a little bit more rigid. Now, keep in mind, we know how to fix all of our problems, our physical problems. We know how to do that. We just have to quiet the mind long enough for our higher self to show us how to do that. Now, I know when you're exhausted, when you're feeling aches and pains and you just want to curl up in a ball and die, that it's hard to get the body moving, but that is the remedy. We're feeling these aches and pains because of the emotional and energetic blockages that are coming up in our body as our vibrations and frequencies rise. So we have to move the body. We have to dance. We have to stretch. We have to do yoga. We have to swim. We have to just shake it out, vibrate the legs. I had a beautiful soul of mine in the comments here say that, they vibrate their legs, they jump their legs. And, that is a common thing to do to kind of calm oneself if you have an anxiety disorder, but it's also a great way to move the freaking energy. So, you got to move your body. When you feel at your worst, when you feel like you don't want to move, is when you should be moving. We are going to feel a negative narrative take over. Again, that Capricorn energy tends to highlight the negative narrative, negative Nancy, Betty the bully, ruler, Saturn, karma, roles, responsibilities, weight. We're going to feel it, and we're feeling it on our chests, on our heart chakra. Why? Cancer season. We're very sensitive. We're very introverted. We're very passive aggressive. We're very connected to needing to nurture that inner child. Inner child work is not easy. It is not fun. Shadow work, not easy, not fun. 100% necessary if we're going to evolve into the enlightenment, into the level of awareness and consciousness that we need to be at to actually embody the one love of the 5D New Earth. So we are probably going to feel like we're 500 pounds. Now, hopefully you're not eating in an attempt to ground the body out and actually gain 500 pounds, although, eating Hopefully you're stuffing your face with life force energy foods instead of processed foods. That would be my want, need, and desire for you. But we also need to understand that our energetic body, our astro body, our light body doesn't want to be weighted down. That's the physical body that is wanting to feel that food, that weight, that satisfaction, that sensual desire to eat and fill the emotional void. Speaking of food, many of us having cramps, especially in the lower back. A lot of that is bowel and bladder related. We are having these digestive issues because we're a little bit nervous. We're in experimental phase, and this Cancer energy is highly emotional, and our nerves are shot, and the nerves in our gut are very responsive to stress, to sadness, to grief, to all of those negative emotions. And the cramping is coming up for a couple of reasons. First of all, our detox organs are having a little bit of a struggle, letting go. In Cancer energy, very attached to old memories, old traditions, old ways of doing things. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's predictable. So therefore we hold on to it. But the cramps is also lower back-ish, where the root chakra kind of is, and our root chakra is connected to survival. And right now, many of us are living in a fear state. We don't know what survival means to us. We are lacking stability. We are questioning and fearful of our financial stability, of our resources, of what our future is going to look like. That is very much root chakra based, and that is creating a lot of pain, a lot of tension in the lower back. And with the added bloating, the added weight, the added dysfunction going on in our detox organs with our bladder and our bowels, it's just making for a very uncomfortable situation. Literally a pain in the ass. Okay. So get up, get the body moving, try to, get those fluids into you, clean that detox system out, and just try to get that energy broken up so that we can do something with it. The family drama, that is going to continue. Sorry if you can hear the background. I live close to an airport and they're doing trainings. Can't get away from it. I apologize. But the family drama is coming up right now because of Cancer season. And Cancer season also highlights generational trauma that we are meant to heal. For those of you listening to me, you are likely a light worker who decided to be the link in the chain to break the link in the family generational trauma. And that is why you're the black sheep of the family. That's why you're the outcast. And many of you are going through some very difficult relationship dynamics right now where we have to build a new foundation, where we're questioning the conditioning of our upbringing, where we are detaching from the roots of what we knew to be true as far as our family dynamic is concerned. And, a lot of conflict going on right now with the parental authorities in our life because the inner child is asking for attention. And the parental figures come up in Cancer season because Cancer is the mother energy and Cancer sits across from Capricorn, which is the father energy. And, we have a lot of inner child work to do where parental figures are concerned. And many of us trying to speak up and speak our truth and kind of clear the air with some of our relationship dynamics and not seeing the patience and understanding and love and compassion from other people that we were really hoping for. And may I remind you how other people receive your truth is none of your business. The only thing that is your business is to speak your truth, to stand up for yourself, to advocate for yourself, to get it off your chest, to get it out of your body. And how that information is received is none of your business. It stops after you get it out. Okay. Please understand that those that are not on the same vibration and frequency, they do not understand you. They do not understand anything other than pain and fear. They do not have accountability and responsibility for themselves. They do not want to hear that they effed you up. Okay. They don't want to hear it because then they'd have to own it. And they're not willing to do that right now. So just continue to speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, even if tears are streaming out of your face, even if your heart's broken, even if you know that you're going to be severely disappointed with not having the reciprocating energy come back to you. doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You got to get the energy out of your body. You got to advocate for yourself. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to do what is right for you. And it's very empowering to do that. Just understand that you will not get the outcome or the response that you were hoping for. So the ear ringing, the ear buzzing is going to be a feature this week, but it's going to be skewed just a tad. We're reaching different decibels. We're reaching different vibrations and frequencies in our energetic and astral bodies, and therefore our sensory system and our physical bodies are being altered as well. So just pay attention to the sounds. I know that we've been going through this process as of late where, our sensory system is going through a recalibration, but the ear buzzing to usually indicate like downloads that we're receiving information from the cosmos, from our higher selves. Just notice that the frequency of it, the sound of it, the vibration of it has changed. And we will be seeing more and more of that, especially as we get to that peak full moon energy. I want to talk about blemishes, pimples, bug bites, right? There's an attack on our skin right now. Our skin is our largest organ. And, we talked a couple weeks ago about how the sun is just burning us right to shit. Because, of course, the sun isn't our natural sun at this particular time, another genetically modified entity in our false illusional world that we live in. But the bug bites, our bodies are reacting differently to bugs. Even your normal generic mosquito is leaving a different kind of bug bite pattern, a different sensation, a different symptom. It takes like weeks for them to heal. Just pay attention to taking care of your skin, your shell, your armor. We are armoring up for this next level, this next phase, if you will, of the ascension process. And you will be able to tell that you are actively trying to guard yourself and armor yourself up by the pimples, the blemishes, the scratches, the bug bites, the sunburns. Any attack on your skin is an indication that you are doing the work to try and kind of harden up, to shell up, to put that hard armor on to protect yourself. And it is kind of like the organic, let's call it polarized way for the dark force agenda to be able to fight back, if you will. And we see those signs and symptoms attack our outer skin, our outer shell. Yes, there's going to be nervousness. Yes, there's going to be anxiety. But yes, we also have the ability to label that excitement. So, full moons, they bring out full emotions, and we have a lot of jitteriness. There's a lot of insecurities and uncertainties going on in our inner realm. We're unearthing a lot of unconscious thoughts and memories that we don't know what to do with. We feel like there's a change going on. We feel like there's something big about to happen just around the corner. We don't know what that is. That brings a lot of anxiousness. But again, we have the ability to ride the system. We have the ability to rewrite the narrative. We have the ability to pay attention to our central nervous system and understand that it was meant to keep us alive and that it doesn't know that mental and emotional threats are real, right? Like we think of being a human in our survival mode as like us thinking that, oh, there's a bear or there's a lion. That's a threat. Our survival instincts need to kick in. Well, we're so modern now. Our brains literally tell us every 5 seconds of whether or not we're safe or not, checking in all the time to make sure that we're scanning our environment for threats. And we've become so oversensitized, I would say, that our body doesn't know. It looks at a bear the same way as it looks at a negative thought or a negative emotion. That's a threat to our ego. It's a threat to our identity. It's a threat to our comfortability. And we feel threatened on so many different levels in so many different ways. And that's why our root chakra is popping off and we're having those lower level cramps in our back and in our hips and in our bladder and in our bowels. And we just have to understand that because our brain is automatically scanning for threats every 5 seconds, that we have to do our part to override that narrative and override that system, that operating system, by constantly doing things that put ourselves at ease, to reassure ourselves that we are safe, we are fine, we are protected, we are just tickety-boo. Everything is good. Even when things aren't good, we have to tell ourselves that things are good so that we can maintain a little bit of control over our automatic bodily systems, if you will, so that we don't spiral out of control, mind, body, and soul, that we can stay in alignment as best as we can, because we have to be in alignment in order to be in our greatest power and in our control. Pay attention to weird patterns, looping behaviors. People are on autopilot right now. Pay attention to wildlife, to birds, to songs, to patterns, to music. There's repeating messages coming up. Synchronicities are huge. Validations are going to be huge this week, but you have to be aware enough to recognize that the thought that you just had this morning, that you're now overhearing a stranger tell another stranger, and then you get in the car and a perfect song comes on related to your original thought and to what that stranger was talking about. You got to be open to the signs and the symbols. You got to be open to recognizing the patterns, the synchronicities, the validations. They're going to be super huge moving through this week, but we have to be open and aware enough to actually be able to identify them. Pay attention to your dreams. I know I keep saying this. You know, Neptune is retrograde. We are in Cancer season. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of unconscious emotions coming to the surface. A lot of the things that our unconscious selves need to process, we're not able to process in our waking lives because we don't have the awareness or the enlightenment or the therapeutic capacity in order to actually process that information. So we do it in our dreamscape. But I need you to pay attention to your dreamscape. There are different realms opening up for us to explore. There are different wars being waged in different realms. There are different indicators cryptically coming through our unconscious selves in order for us to lean a little bit more into healing those topics and themes in our waking life. But you got to pay attention to the dreamscape. The last thing that I'm going to leave you with is pay attention to your heart. Okay, there's a lot of attacks going on right now on our higher selves, on our soul selves. We are struggling to blend our egoic, logical, practical selves with our higher soul self acting as the observer. We don't want to lean so far into one that we lose the strength of the other. We want to blend. The answer is always the middle ground. We do not want to live in extremes. We do not want to go so far into one thing that we lose sight of the other. We want to consciously blend the energies of everything together. Ego is not a bad thing. It is absolutely essential for us as human beings to have ego. But it is also absolutely essential to remind ourselves that we are merely an energy source, a soul source in an egoic, physical, materialized vessel. Therefore, we have to use our ego operating system that is designed for our physical survival with our higher self observational soul source energy in order for us to recognize that not everything is based in actual materialistic matter. Not everything needs to make sense in a logical, practical mind space. Not everything is even proven. That's the beautiful thing about souls and consciousness and metaphysics, is that it's out of the realm of physics. Meta means outside of. Physics is science. So everything that science can explain lands in the metaphysical realm. And we have to rely on our soul space, our intuition, our higher self in order to align with our energetic and astral body so that we know what is true outside of our physical experience. So guys, that's all the information that I have for you this week. Hopefully it resonated with you. Hopefully, it triggered something in you. Maybe it's going to act as the catalyst for a major change. Maybe it made you look at something differently. Maybe it made you question something that you didn't otherwise question. Regardless, I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything that we talked about here today. Drop me a line in the comments. Let me know what you thought about CERN. Let me know what you thought about the Georgia Guidestones. Let me know what you thought about Upside Down Land. Let me know about your ascension symptoms. There are some beautiful people in this community, okay, that are just ready to share their experiences and let you know that you're not alone in yours. And that's why we come here. That's why we all get together. That's why we share our experiences and our stories. And that is why we are of the same soul fam. So I want to thank you, soul fam, for joining me in this live chat. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for not only showing up for me, but for showing up for yourself. I hope you have a beautiful week, and we'll talk to you soon.